Multitasking is killing your brain. Every time you switch tasks, check your phone, answer an email, and if it's just for a quick second, your brain doesn't just lose focus, it actually loses energy, loses clarity, and over time, it rewires itself to crave distractions. That's the worst part. So you think you're being super productive, but you're actually training your brain to be scattered, stressed, and really less efficient. And it's what your brain has adapted to over time. So that's why you feel drained, foggy, unfocused, even after a good night's sleep. But here's the cool part. The same brain that learned to live in that chaos can learn to find, again, the more calm, structured way. So when you retrain your brain to focus, to move with intention, it creates that safety through awareness, everything can change again. You can start thinking more clearly again, you can have better decision making, you perform at a higher level, and your energy becomes a lot more steady so you don't have those crashes. And your body feels a whole lot better, more grounded, and you feel kind of sharp again with your mind. So this is what happens when you stop multitasking and you start mastering focus. Because when your brain feels safe, your performance becomes absolutely skyrocketing, limitless. Welcome, I'm Heike Fallon, the founder of Expand Health and creator of the NeuroHP method. I help leaders, athletes, high performers of any age optimizing their health, energy, and performance for longevity. So for over 30 years, I've been helping people bridge that gap between the health and the performance through a brain-based approach. In this episode, I'm going a little deeper into something everyone, including me, struggles with, and that's multitasking and distractions. And it's really killing our performance and focus and affects our longevity. So if you want your brain to be sharper and have more energy, be more productive, more consistently, this one is for you. And before we go into it though, make sure you grab that free PDF guide that I have in the link below in the description. So it's a step-by-step process to audit your energy, and it's a great way to get started. And now we're starting with this episode. Let's start with the facts. Your brain cannot multitask. What feels like multitasking is actually task switching. Every time you jump from one thing to another, your brain needs to refocus, and it costs a lot of energy. And neuroscientists call that like a switch cost because it's draining energy. And research has actually shown that when people multitask, they perform overall worse, and they remember less, and it takes way longer to finish tasks. And your prefrontal cortex, part here in the brain that is responsible for focus, planning, decision making, can only process really one high-level task at a time. So when you're switching back and forth, it has to constantly reset. So it's like you're rebooting your computer all the time. It's like you're never really going to get anything done. So, and imagine you having a lot of different things running at the same time. That's really draining for the brain. That's very overwhelming, and no surprise that we lose really clarity. And the problem is that when we do that, we train the brain to crave more stimulus. And that is the danger really of multitasking. It's not just inefficient, but the problem is we're rewiring the brain for distraction. We get really good at it because we get really good at what we practice. So what's going on inside your brain when you're multitasking? Your prefrontal cortex, as I said, it manages attention and the decision and choices, and it can't hold on to two conscious thoughts at the same time. So when you switch back and forth, you activate the anterior cingulate cortex, which detects conflicts and errors. So constant shifting creates actually mental friction. Meanwhile, your dopamine system is happy, it jumps in. Every time you check a message or you scroll on social media, you get a little tiny dopamine hit, and it thinks it's like, woohoo, this is great, because that's your reward system saying, good job, that felt good. So you repeat it again and again. Over time, your brain starts craving that novelty and not focus. And the problem is it becomes addictive. I mean, who hasn't felt it yet? It's becoming addictive, that scrolling or being on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. So it's that quick reward. And the part of the brain that supports that deep focus and flow, that executive control network, actually gets weaker. That's why it's so much harder to sit still, think deeply, stay focused, and the problem is it doesn't really stop in your brain. Every distraction triggers a small stress response, and it gets that little mini spike of cortisol, adrenaline, chemicals meant to really protect you from dangers. And that's the problem. You're not being chased by a tiger, you're actually chased by notifications. I personally turn my notifications all off because it's just too distracting. So this constant activation keeps your nervous system in hell alert, and that can absolutely cause chronic stress and changes your breathing patterns, so you breathe more shallow, shoulders might get tight, your vision might get more narrow, and those signals sent from your body to your brain, basically telling your brain, hey, my body is unsafe, and now your brain feels unsafe. And you really can't take the brain and the body apart. They're one big system. You can't separate them. So when your visual system and your vestibular system, and I've talked about them a lot, detect kind of chaos or overload, your brain basically goes into survival mode and your performance tanks, it drops. So even small distractions make you tired, forgetful, and your brain is trying to protect you, but it ends up really burning you out. So let's be honest. We live in a world that's built to hijack your attention. Every app, every site, every notification is actually, they're fighting for it. They use brain science to capture and hold your focus. I mean, that's why there is that endless scrolling, right? That's why it never ends. And then we add color and sound and likes, and all those things are triggers to our dopamine system. And the more you respond, the more your brain likes that distractions with a reward. And you become the product of that attention and that time and your focus, all just for a tiny little small moment of that pleasure that's happening when you're on social media, for example. So here's the challenge. Your brain adapts quickly, which is great and not great, right? If you feed it with distraction, it learns to expect them. If you train it to focus, it learns that instead. So neuroplasticity is fascinating because we know we can rewire the brain. It's based on experiences, and we just got to feed them the right things. So your brain is always listening, always changing, and it's your decision what to teach your brain or what to feed to your brain. So let me go through a little scenario. So maybe this sounds familiar to you. So you open the laptop, right? And you want to write an email. 5 minutes later, you're on the website, checking messages, scrolling, or you're ordering something online. I've been there. I've done that. So it's not lack of willpower. It's really an overloaded attention system. So common signs, usually you forget what you were doing. You're feeling foggy. Maybe you're rereading the same lines over again. You're feeling more tired quicker from sitting, and you're really craving something new all the time. So those are the red flags. Now here's something really important. You cannot think your way out of distraction. You have to move away from them. So when you move your body, you send a powerful sensory input to your brain, because now when you're moving and you go in another room, your joints, your muscles, your eyes, your inner ear give your nervous system feedback, and that sensory feedback helps calm your threat response and restores really your focus. When your eyes and your inner ear don't have a mismatch, then your brain feels safe. And if they are in a mismatch, it's the opposite, right? Your brain feels not safe, and it goes into survival mode. So that's why posture, breathing, small movements all matter for focus. And movement really recharges your brain because it's feeding it good and a lot of information. And if you do brain-based movements, that's even better. So now that we covered a little bit the science, here's how you can train your brain to stay focused again. Step 1, create safe signals. That means your brain performs at best if it feels safe. So start your day kind of calm. Don't check emails right away. Start with deep breathing or some mobility. Morning light is really important. And, it tells your system like you feel safe. Start with a good morning routine. Second step, limit switching. Try to really practice staying on one task. I recommend usually have no tabs open, or not as many. I'm guilty of that though. Turn your phone off. Don't do emails randomly in between. Do them at a specific time. I usually do that early afternoon, that I check my emails and go through them. So you want to kind of have a little more structured ways. The other thing is, set a timer to take breaks frequently. Usually I recommend 25 minutes. Then you get up and you take a little break, move around before continuing on the task, because you cannot sit there for 2 hours being fully focused. You have to take breaks. I did a whole nother video on that, so you can check that out. But take breaks, and you might need a timer for that. Step 3 is rebuild a better visual map. That means train your eyes, because your eyes drive your brain. And daily eye exercises like a smooth pursuit, which is a following near, far, tracking objects, peripheral vision, all that helps, sharpens your attention, and is very important. Number 4 is movement breaks. As I said, every 25 minutes you should get up and do something a little bit, but then every hour really, or 90 minutes, do something a little longer for 5-10 minutes, because it's very important to really move. Step number 5, sleep. Hands down, super important. You gotta sleep. You gotta get a good amount of sleep. It's very important for your brain and your body and so much more. So check out my video about sleep. And at the end of the day, distractions isn't a flaw, it's actually a habit. So your nervous system has been totally conditioned to seek that distraction, and to change it, you have to replace it with better habits, with better patterns, and stop that switching. So check in, notice, when you're working, are you getting tight? How is your breathing? Or how tired your eyes are feeling? And pay attention to those signals that are coming in. And if you're constantly having back pain and again neck pain, that might be a sign that you are pushing it too far, and you need to really stick to a more simple and one task type of situation. The opposite of distraction is not, like most people think, discipline, but it's actually flow. Flow happens when your brain is fully engaged, your challenge matches your skill, and you're actually not thinking a whole lot except on the task. And in flow, that's a cool part, dopamine and other chemicals rise, and you feel totally focused and creative, and you might forget the whole world around you, and you get a whole lot more done. In order to get to flow, it's a fine line. Most athletes know how that feels, but even people can get that while they're working on the desk. So kind of see if you can get to that flow state and really be that hyper focused that you can get that state, because that's when you're really productive. As always, it's super important to do this daily in order to change your brain, because it's not just, productivity in the moment, but it's really for longevity. And the more focused brain, the healthier the brain. And when your nervous system regulates, your body actually thrives, your inflammation drops, HRV, heart rate variability, improves, and you're going to have more energy, and you're going to perform a whole lot more better for long term. So your brain was built to focus. It just needs you to remind it of it. So don't forget to share this video with anyone that you think would totally benefit from this information, because we kind of all do. And I'm Heike Fallon. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next episode.